everyone, and welcome to our Country Craft Creations YouTube Homemade for Christmas Hop. I'm really excited to finally be sharing my project with you, and what we will be creating is a Christmas house mini album card. This is the perfect size to send to someone, and you can include your photos, gift cards, and even a family newsletter. So let me dig into all of the goodness. Now, before we get started, I just want to say that I will also be having a giveaway for members of my YouTube community. You must be a viewable subscriber, like and comment, and I would like to know what one crafty item you're looking forward to creating this holiday season, and put that in the comments down below. And when you make that comment, it can actually count towards your entry into the Country Craft Creations giveaway. You must also be 18 years or older, and the giveaway will only be for US participants. Now let me finish showing you today's project. So for this project, I dug into my stash and was able to use one of the collections that I already had, and I selected Christmas by Cartabella. This is an older collection, but I will have it linked down below for you. Now, in my tutorial, I go through all the details on how I created this, and I share all of the products. So I won't be doing that in this flip through. I'll just kind of show you the product itself. So our card measures 5 3/8 by 8 1/2, and it has a 5/8 inch spine as well as a 1/4 of an inch spine on the right hand side. When we open up, we come to our first pocket, and it is a dimensional pocket, and it holds some gifts, which are photo mats. These are so fun. I used my Cricut Design Space to cut these out. And it has plenty of room to add more. And here I added some stickers for decoration. Now let's open this up a little bit further. And so what you end up with is a bit of a trifold. On the right hand side, we have 2 flips for photos. You can put your photo here and here. And then we have a top tuck spot, and this contains a little snowflake tag, and you can add a photo or journaling here on the back. And there we go. And you also have plenty of room to tuck things up in there. On the left hand side, we have the same design, 2 photo flips, our snowflake tag, and an top tuck. I added this cute little tree here and some stickers at the top of both of these pockets. In the center, we have a flip down pocket, and it contains an acetate shaker. These are always fun to include, and what's great about this one is you can include a gift card, and it has a pocket in the back side. So not only are you sharing photos and messages, you can share a gift. When we flip this down, we have a little tuck spot here, and it carries one of these little tags. This pocket contains a floating or removable photo flip. This has space where you can tuck on the top or the bottom of this card, and it flips open. You can add photos or journal. It can tuck under here, and you can tuck under this one. And even the back is blank so that you could add photos there as well. Now this fits here, but you could also move it to any location that you would like it. So that's the inside of our card, and this closes, and on the back side we have a side pocket, and it has another tag, and you can write or add a photo to the back of this. So that is our Christmas House mini album card. Now let's dive into the tutorial. To start creating our project, we're going to need to cut 3 pieces to start with. We need one that is 8.5 by 11 3/8. We need one piece that is 8.5 by 9 1/8. And then for our third piece, you'll need one that is 4 3/8 by 11. Now, I am running extremely low on white cardstock, and I didn't really want to cut into a canvas cardstock when I'm using just regular. So I'm going to use a shorter piece for this project. Now, if you want to do that as well, this is going to end up being a pocket. So if you want a shorter pocket, you can join me in using a 3.5 by 11 piece. Let's start with our biggest piece that is 11 3/8 inches long, and we're going to put that across the top, and we're going to score at 5 3/8. Next, we're going to score at 6. So that's 5 3/8 and then 6. Let's grab our other piece, and this will have the 9 1/8 across the top. We're going to score at 5 3/8. Next, we'll score at 5 3/4. Let's get our third piece out. We will put the short end across the top and score at 1/2 inch. Put the long ways across the top, and we're going to score at 5 3/8. And 10 3/4. Now that we have all of our pieces cut and scored, let's do some burnishing. So we can fold on our 2 lines that we created on the largest piece and just burnish those really good. For the 1/2 inch piece, what we want to do is cut out one of these 1/2 inch pieces. So at this point, you should have 3, a small one that's 1/4 of an inch, the larger one, and then another large one. Let's go ahead and cut straight up in the middle here to the score line. And then we're going to come down to the corner and cut in as well. And then now we can fold this other piece down and burnish that. So what will happen on this piece is, oh, we also need to cut out this little bitty piece here. So on the edge where the 1/4 of an inch score line is, just cut in and up to cut that out. Okay? With your piece looking like this, this will fold over, and this piece will actually fold in, and these two will get glued together like that. This piece here will get glued to the inside of our cover. So here is the cover, one piece. The second piece, this is going to get glued on the back side, just up to where the score line is, but not over. So you're ending up kind of creating a folio style. And so this will get glued on the bottom here, and it will become a flip up like that. Okay, this will go in, let's see. So this will be on the inside, this will go over, and this will go over. And then on the back side, we'll have a little pocket. I think we can go ahead and start gluing some pieces down. So what I'm going to do is add some adhesive here at the top, just along this edge here up to the first score line, and I'm going to do the same down here. And then I'm actually going to run a bead of glue all the way up next to the score line. Now we can take our other piece and line that up. Right up to the score line. Hope you can see that there. On both sides. Make sure your ends are even as well. I would even test it before you push it all down to make sure that folds without any issues. And then we can burnish. Now that we have that done, we can go ahead and put this together. So we're going to add our adhesive to the little 1/4 of an inch flap on the outside of it. We're going to take our little flap, fold that over onto where we just added the adhesive, right there. Now, one of the things I found was helpful is to also bend this backward and then burnish. So you're burnishing both ways. Okay, now let's fold this down and add our adhesive. We're going to line this up in between our score lines. So I've lined these up right here at the edge. Hope you can see that. They're edge to edge here. And then I'm going to fold over my flap. And I think I have it in the right spot. Once you have it in place, just go ahead and burnish. Now when you have this glued down, go ahead and check to make sure everything can still be folded up without any interference. Yeah, still works. Better to be safe. Okay, now what we're going to do is go back in and add just a little bit of adhesive at the bottom of our pocket here, because that's open. Unless you don't mind that it's open, but I'm going to add just a little bit of glue right below the score line. So that's the base construction. And then, of course, on the back we have our pocket already. Now we're going to create a layered photo flip, and we're going to cut 3 strips. The first one will be measured 11 3/4 by 3 1/2. Our second will be 11 11/16 by 3 1/2. And then the third piece will be 11 5/8 and 3 1/2. Going to need our scoreboard. Now we're going to do some scoring. With our first piece, it is 11 3/4 inches long, and we're going to put that across the top here, and we're going to score at 4 7/8. Our next piece will be the 11 11/16 inches long, and we're going to score at 5 1/4. And then our third piece with 11 5/8 across the top, we're going to score at 5 5/8. Now let's burnish. Okay, now that our pieces are layered, when you lay them next to each other like this, you'll notice that at the bottom, where the top of the end of the page ends, you have a wide piece and then it gets smaller. So the widest one will go on the outside. The next one with the widest gap here will go in the middle, and then the third piece with the smallest will go in the center. What we're going to do is sew across where our score line is. So you'll take this, if you have a sewing machine, and you can sew across right where the score line is, and this will fold over, and then we will have a layered photo frame or photo mats, layered photo mats. Now, if you do not have a sewing machine and cannot sew or don't want to sew, you could use staples. You could also sew this by hand if you wanted to. You could also take string and wrap around that and tie it with a bow on top. If you would prefer to do the photo mats the way we normally do them with a hinge, you could certainly do that as well. But the way that I'm creating this is so that we can use this as a item that we tuck into a pocket. Now before I go to sew these, I'm going to round the corners, and I'm going to use the 1/4 of an inch. If you prefer to have yours in a square version, you can do that as well. Okay, so we're going to get started on decorating the little mini album card, and I'm going to be using this collection, and it's called Christmas by Cartabella. Now this is a older collection from 2018. However, we also must use our stash, and so that's what I'm doing for today's hop. I'm digging into my stash, and I'm using what I already have. Now, if you want to recreate this project using the same collection, it is available on Amazon, and I will have that link down below for you. In addition to the 12 by 12, I will also be using the 6 by 6 pad, and I found that a lot of the things that we're creating can be made from that pad, which is really nice. We're going to get started on the front cover of our mini album card, and what we're going to do is build a house scene on the front. So I've already selected my papers that I'm going to be using from the 6 by 6 pad. The base of the house will be made out of the wood grain with the snow on it. And what I've done for this is taken the piece, and I've actually run it through my embossing machine. I hope you can see that. It's little wood pieces. It just gives it some dimension. So here's before and here's after. So I would suggest digging into your embossing folders. This one is from Doris, and it's called Brick Wall. This is what it looks like. Really fun to use. So then I cut this down to be 5 1/4 by 6 3/8. And that will be on the base. So I'm going to go ahead and add my wood piece to the front cover. I'm going to lay this out flat. Now the way I did this is that it would have less than 1/8 of an inch border. I really didn't want it to have that much of a border. I'm going to fold this backwards so I can see the edge a little bit better. Yeah, that helps. Okay, and then like I said, it's probably about 1/16 of an inch border. Now you can cut this down to where it would be 1/8 of an inch border on all the sides. Whatever your preference is. And don't worry about the circle there. It will get covered. Next, I've taken this decorative piece of paper and I've cut down my roof. And this is 2 1/4 by 5 5/8. The next thing we're going to do is to create a texture on our roof piece. So I'm going to use my scoreboard. And I'm going to score with the short end across the top every 1/4 of an inch. So you do 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, 3/4, 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, and 2. And see, this gives us a really nice textured roof. Now, if you wanted the bumps to be on the outside, you would just turn your paper over and do the same thing. So let's do a couple to see how that looks. Yeah, so see here, you can tell the difference. These first 3 are bumpy side toward us, and these are the bumpy side away from us. So whatever you like, I think I like it better with it away from us. So I'm going to go back over these lines. Yeah, I like that. You could probably even go through and make more of a a tile pattern by adding additional lines across the top. But I'm just going to do these for today. Before we add the roof to our cover, I've had a die in my stash that's an icicle die, and I cut out some chunky white glitter cardstock, and I'm going to add this to my project here, and then I'll put the roof over top. I just love how that looks, and as you see, it will cover the hole that was at the top. So this is 2 1/4 inches down, so if you want to know where to put your icicle, measure down 2 1/4 and then mark it with a pencil. That's kind of what I've done. And I'm going to go ahead and add this down. Now I'm not going to glue all these little pieces down because I may have to tuck stuff up underneath there. And this isn't long enough to go all the way across, but I don't mind because, that's how it is on a regular house. It doesn't go all the way down one side of your house. Yeah, I think that looks good. So I'm just going to press that on. Now, when we created this roof, it actually goes beyond the cover size, if you can see that here. It goes about 1/8 of an inch on each side over. The reason is we're going to cut from this corner and we're going to taper it to the top. Now the way that I did this last time was I actually adhered it first, and then that way there was no room to have it be too far in or anything like that. So that's what I would suggest for you to do today. Just leave about 1/8 of an inch on each side without glue, and then when we add it, we're going to center this piece in between our cover so that we have enough overage on each side, and then we'll do the cutting in to get that slight angle on each side. Now again, if you don't want to do an angle cut, just cut it to be 5 3/8 inches across. And make sure you get this all the way to the top of the cover. And actually it landed right where I needed it to be. Okay, so now that we have that on, we're going to cut our angle starting at a corner and going in. I'm going to turn this over this way. A great thing about this is you can flatten this out. And we're going to go from the outside corner, diagonal cut to the top. Hope you can see this. It's kind of difficult to show you. Like I said, it's just a slight cut to the top. It doesn't have to be perfect. See? I like that. It's just enough to give more dimension to the project. So now that we have this side done, let's do this one. We'll flatten out our project here. And we're going to turn it over, and we're going to cut not on the outside, but on the inside for the one on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you cut on the outside in. Okay, hope that makes sense. Now let's do that. Just going right there at the edge, and I'm going to cut straight down there. And now we have that edge at an angle. So see, when you look at it like this, just a slight, ever so slight incline on the inside, and it actually gives your project more dimension. Now I'm going to ink those with some black, jet black ink from Archival. Next, we're going to work on the windows and the door. And here is a completed window, but I'll show you how I created this. So in Cricut Design Space, I found a window and sized this down And the window itself measures 1 5/8 by 1.5. And I'll have the Cricut file link for you for those that have that. For this back piece, I wanted it to look like there was light on the inside of the room. So I used some of this glitter paper that I got from the Dollar Tree. It had orange, pink, and yellow in it, and I used this yellow for the back part. For the window frame, I used one of the pieces from the paper collection. I used this one, and it has little trees on the back side. And then I also cut out little shutters to go on our window frame. So then they get all glued on like this. For the shutters, I used this Miss Sparkle & Co. marble paper pad. And what it was is actually wood grain, and it's in multiple colors. And I'm telling you, I have used this paper pad so much. This is the one that I used to cut out the shutters and then a piece that goes on the door. But this has been a great purchase. I would highly recommend it if they still have it. So I'm going to glue all those pieces on, and it will look like this. I've even cut out some little bitty baby glitter pieces that look like snow on the window, and I'll add those as well. So now that I've shown you how to put that together, I'll do this one offline, but we'll be adding these to our house here. Okay, so I have both my windows done, and they will go here. And then for my door, I used that same paper that I used on the windows to cut out my door. And then here is that piece that I mentioned earlier. I used the same wood grain paper for the shutters, and I cut this out as well. I actually had this die, a door die that I got, I think off AliExpress, and I used that to cut this piece out, and I'm going to add that to my door in the center to give it some decoration. I cut this piece out as well as the door die that I had this like stair piece, or at least I think that's what it is. And it's bigger, and I only cut off one little piece, and I'm going to use that down here at the bottom like a landing for the door, and I love how that looks. I wished I would have done that in my other projects, but I really like that a lot. And then this piece I cut out of this paper with the little candelabra thingies on the back side. So this goes in here. And then I actually even cut out some more of the yellow to go in the holes so that it looks like there's light coming out from there as well. Now, in addition to those pieces, I have some more cut out from that one sheet, and I'm going to be adding these here in the little squares just for some decoration, like this. It'll look cute when it's all together, like that. And then our windows. Okay. So that's how that's all going to look. I'm going to go ahead and add this to my project. Now, I wanted to give you some measurements in case you don't have a cutting machine or a Cricut or Silhouette. The door is 2 by 3 3/4. So I would make your door no larger than that. Even this is a little bit big here at the top, but I'm hoping I'll be able to fit it all in there. I could cut off one of these little things here at the top, which is what I kind of thought about doing. And again, you could just take a square piece of cardstock, cut that down, the piece in the middle, which actually opens like a door. That is 1.5 by 3 1/8. If you want to just put, you know, a square little door, which would be perfectly fine. This one just has molding around it. And you would be good to go. So I'm going to put all this together. I really don't think you guys need to watch me glue all that. It's kind of mundane, but I'll come back and show you the final project, and then we'll do a little bit of decorating. Okay, I got the windows and door on, and then I was trying to figure out my decor pieces, and I kind of went ahead and stuck some of them down. So like over the windows, I added these little bitty hollies, and I got those from Hobby Lobby, Dress It Up Holly Jolly Christmas. They were different size hollies in the bag, which was really nice. Down here, I had this great wreath from Recollections at Michael's, and I added that. It's very dimensional. This snowman here I thought was a perfect color to go with the background of the house, and I got this from the Dollar General last year. This is the holiday style novelty stickers. Really neat stickers. They're puffy and dimensional, and it even has texture on them like the wood grain texture. So that's really neat. So the last thing that I'm going to be adding here, I thought about adding some snowflakes up here, but then I think I got sidetracked. So what I decided to do was print out some trees. Now this one I used Cricut Design Space to cut out, and then this one I had a die for from Crafter's Companion. But I thought I would layer these on here. So let's open this up, and just trying to figure out where it goes. Wait, that's not the right one. There we go. I cut out a couple of them while I was there. Yeah, I wanted the tree to be taller than the snowman. There we go. Now the wreath and holly, I adhered with some sticky dots. Those things are wonderful. And we'll just put down our tree. And then I'm going to layer this chunky one on top of it. I think like that. I don't mind if it goes over the door, because then it kind of looks like it's in front of the house. So that's what I'll be doing. Now I may add some more icicles up here later. I don't know, I wonder how that would look. Like I have some. So when I cut out the icicle, it actually makes these. And so you can use those as icicles. So let's see. I was going to put like snowflakes, but I don't know, I'm really liking how this looks instead. So just play around with it, see what you like. Got glue all over me. There we go. Yeah, I really like that now. Cute. Okay, at this point, we're going to get started on decorating the inside. And when we lift our cover, we're going to be working on the first page to the right. Now, I want to take a moment to say that at this point, if you wanted to add a particular closure, such as a ribbon tie-off closure, or add magnets to these two pages, now would be the time to do that. I have decided to not do that. I will be adding our floating photo mats here, and it will be a little bit bulky, so I think the magnets might have trouble connecting. And so I thought of that. And then I also really don't want to use a ribbon, because I love the idea of being able to see the house. And when you close it, it only shows just a little bit, if any at all, on the side. So I don't think you really need to. But again, I'm going to leave that up to you. I just wanted to say that now is the time to add your ribbons or your magnet for a particular closure here. Add it to each side of these pages, probably somewhere in the center. Okay, so what we're going to do for decorating this page, we're going to need one decorative page that is 5 1/4 by 6. This will be placed here at the top. On the bottom, we're going to create a pocket, and let's get our scoreboard for that. So what you're going to need is one piece of cardstock that is 6 by 3 1/8. If you don't like to use 3/8 of an inch, you could use a 1/4. So what I'm going to do is put it in the scoreboard long ways across the top and score at 3 1/8. I'm going to rotate it once to the right, score at 3/8. Rotate it one more time to the right and score at 3/8. Now we're going to take our piece and cut out these little squares on each side. I'm going to do a little bit of an angle cut, which is right above where the score line is. So going into the score line. Okay, so it looks like that when I cut it out, and I'm going to repeat that on the other side. I'm also going to angle the top corners. I'm cutting in at the score line and then cutting out to look like that. Okay, now we can fold and burnish. Now again, I'm using the cardstock that I have on hand, and this was Recollections from Michaels. So let's bring our little card back. This is going to go at the top. We're going to add our pocket here at the bottom. So for the pocket, we're going to need one decorative piece that is 5 1/8 by 2 7/8. If you would like to change this to be 1/8 of an inch border, then you just take off 1/8 of an inch more around your piece. I'm only doing it to where I have a 1 1/16 inch border around my pages. Now what I'd also like to do is add a little bit of decoration to this. So I'm going to use this die that I have, and it's part of the Die-Zyre 9 Metal Dies Decorative Edges. So I cut that out, and I'm going to add this here at the top somewhere. I don't know if I'll put it underneath it or what, but I'm going to add this here somewhere if it works, like that. Okay, so that is the main construction for this page. Now, because I want to save time for you, the viewer, I've decided to show you how I'm going to lay out the pages, and then I'm going to go offline and glue everything down, and then I'll come back and we'll move on to the next one. That way it will just save time. So glue this piece down first. We're going to take this, add glue to our 3 little flaps here, put that down, and then we'll glue this on top. And then if you're doing a decorative piece like this, add that as well. Okay? Okay, I have this side all glued on, and now we're going to go ahead inside and work on the right-hand side of our card. It's the back side of the one we just did. So you're going to need one piece that is 5 1/4 by 6, and we're going to put this down here. On the top of this, we're going to create a little tuck spot, and we're going to need one decorative piece that is 6 by 3 3/8, and I've gone ahead and cut out my decorative edge. So this is going to be up here. We're going to fully glue this one down, and then this will be glued on 3 sides, like that. Before we do, and then what you're going to need is 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 4 3/4 by 6, and you're going to score down one side at 1/2 inch. So do that on both sides, and then I rounded 2 of the corners. And then your decorative piece will measure 4 1/8 by 5 7/8, and I've rounded the corner on 2 edges. So like this. So what I'm going to do for this side is actually walk through the construction. And then we're going to do the same thing on the left-hand side, and then that one I'll do off camera. So what I'm going to do now is go offline, and I'm going to glue these two pieces together and these two pieces, and then I'll be back. Okay, so my pieces have been glued, and what we're going to do now is move these out of the way. And we're actually going to glue these two flaps together, but we're going to stagger them. Now, to help you out, what I've done is staggered them about an inch. So there's about an inch up here. And now that I have them all lined up together, I'm going to flip these over and add some adhesive and then glue those two pieces together. So I have my two pieces glued together, and now we're going to adhere that to the inside cover. Now I've measured it out, and it's about 3/4 of an inch down and a 3/4 of an inch up where we want to glue this down. So we're going to add adhesive to our little flap and then glue it here on the edge. So I'm lining it up here right to the edge of the card, and it's about 3/4 of an inch down and 3/4 of an inch up. Once you have it there, then go ahead and burnish that down. Let's check it out. Yeah, see, it lines up perfectly with the edge here. And then once you have that down, now we can add our other two pieces. So let's go ahead and do that. Now when you put this down, make sure you don't go over the score line for our flips. Okay, now we can put our top piece on. And I'm going to line this up with my decorative piece down here. So here we are, the final look of this little photo flip page, and then we will be able to tuck a tag or some photo mat underneath there. Now these little flips will hold a 4x6 photo. You will need to probably do just a little bit of cropping if you want to see the cardstock color behind your photo, because this is actually 6. So you'll have to crop it just 1/8 of an inch or so to get it on there to have a border. Now what we've done here is the same thing we're going to do on the left-hand side. So let's run through that. So for our decorative cardstock, you're going to need one that is 5 1/4 by 6. This will go down here at the bottom. Our top piece to create the top tuck will be 6 by 3 3/8. Then you're going to need 2 cardstocks that measure 4 3/4 by 6. You're going to score both of them at 1/2 inch on one side, round the corners of 2 sides, the opposite. And then for your decorative pieces that go on our little photo flip, you'll need 2 pieces that measure 4 1/8 by 5 7/8. You'll glue those on, and then you'll repeat the same thing we did over here. Glue these 2 pieces together first, about 1 inch apart at the bottom, and then glue them on to the page, and then add your other 2 pages. And it will look something like that. Let's move on to the center. So the first thing you're going to need is 2 pieces of decorative cardstock that measure 5 1/4 by 2 7/8. One will go on the front, and one will go on the back side of the flip pocket. For the page in the middle, you're going to need one piece that is 5 1/4 by 5 1/2. The next piece, I actually took a 4 by 6 journaling card and I cut this down to be 5 1/4 by 3 1/2. Now, if you don't have a journaling card this large, you can just use decorative paper. And then that's going to go down here, and we're going to glue that on 3 sides, and we're going to make that a pocket right there. Okay, so those are the measurements for the decorative paper for the center here. Now let's talk about the back side. On the back, you're going to need one piece that is 3 1/4 by 8 3/8, and that will go on the outside here. Now, because I was using 6 by 6 paper on the inside, I had to use a 12 by 12 piece of decorative cardstock from the same collection to decorate the back, because otherwise I would have been piecing it together, and I just didn't want to do that since I did so much of that on the inside. So I used a 12 by 12 and cut that down. The next piece you're going to need is one that measures 2 3/8 by 8 3/8. And this will go over here and be tucked into the pocket and slide underneath there. And I am going to use another one of our decorative, yeah, I like that, just to break it up a little bit. I'll put it in there like that. Now, when we glue, we all glue differently. So these measurements may not work for you. So I would advise you to just double check the measurements for you and what you're doing. You may have glued less or you may have glued more, and then you would need to modify the sizes that I've just given you. Okay, so I have given you all of the measurements that you need for the decorative paper to decorate our card, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere everything down offline, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back to show you where I've added all of the decorative paper that I outlined previously. Over here on the left-hand side, I've added those flips and our little top tuck here. We have our middle is all covered with our middle pocket. And then, of course, we did this side together. What I've also done is added decorative paper in between the pages. So here is a decorative piece that is 1/2 inch wide, and this is 1/4 inch wide. And then I've done the same thing on the back side, here and here. And then you can also see where I've added the decorative paper there. So I really love how this turned out. I even went ahead and identified some tags that I want to include. I printed these out and using Cricut Design Space, and again, if I didn't mention before, I will have a link to my Cricut files for you, for those that have that device. And I'm going to add these right here, and I think I'm going to kind of hide them. I like the idea that you don't know what's under there. And this one on this side. And then I created a tag for the back here. Oh, I guess I could give you measurements. Sorry about that. So these are, just in case you wanted to create a tag, whether it's this one or not. This is 3 1/4 by 6 3/4. And then the tag for the back side here, this is 4 1/4 by 7. And I love this because you could write a little sentiment and turn it over and then write your message here. And this just slips right in there. Now, if you recall, we previously created a flip. Well, what I've done is gone ahead and added all the decorative paper to the pages. These are all tucks right here. That's a sticker. That's a sticker. That's a sticker. And then this, you could actually tuck underneath here and at the top if you wanted to. And then I added this stretchy gold ribbon. And I just love how that looked. It really just popped against this paper. So wonderful. Let me get my measurements and I'll tell you the sizes of these. Or I also am going to provide a project sheet and it will have all of the measurements in that project as well. So let me get those one moment. Now I did change the measurements. Initially when I did my prototype, I did use the 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, but I changed it in this project. So all of these measure 3 3/8 inches wide. So I'll give you the lengths. So the top one is 4 3/4, and this is all if you're doing a 1/16 inch border. I'll also provide the measurements for the 1/8 of an inch border if I can. So this one is 5 1/8 long, 5 1/2 long, 5 7/8, 6 1/4, and 6 3/4. So when I created this, my initial thought was to expand this folder because previously in my prototype, I had these 3 sides glued down and it was very tight fitting. Well, now that I've added extra room to the pocket, when I put it in, it moves. See, it goes sideways. So that's annoying. So what I've decided to do is put it back in the back where we have this other tighter pocket to hold it still. So when you put it in, you're going to kind of have to push down to get it in, but it will fit. But if you don't push down, then you're going to get this problem. So just push down and then it will go right in there. And actually, I think that looks so good right there. I love this. I love that. So I'm really happy with how that turned out there. So for the front, then I had to create some more tags, and I created some presents as tags, and I am absolutely loving this. I had some of this great paper by Coordinations that was already embossed, and so I cut this out using my Cricut. Again, that file will be linked, and added this on here, making it look like a present, and I absolutely love how that looks. And then I made a shorter one, and this has a little bow on it as well, and I just added one of those little tags as if it was, you know, a present as well. So super cute. These fit in there. You could probably even fit in 1 or 2 more if you wanted. So that is this. All I need to do now is to decorate, and I don't think I'm going to do that with you. You will see the decoration, or you probably already have seen the decoration in the final project. So what I want to talk about now is what we're going to put in this pocket. So let me clear this away and we'll get going. For this next project, what we're going to create is a Christmas tree acetate shaker that will hold a gift card or a tag if you don't want to include a gift card. So here's the shaker that I created for a Halloween project that I just did that will be coming out soon. And then on the back side, we have a little acetate pocket, and you can put your little gift card in there so that your mini album card is one that holds greetings, it'll hold a gift card, and it will hold photos. It can even hold a family newsletter. Lots of fun stuff. So this is what we're going to make right now. And I decided to do it in the shape of a Christmas tree just for fun. Now, this shape is cut out of Cricut. I cut 2 of these. We have 1 acetate piece for the bottom of the tree, and this will be where we tuck in our gift card. And then we have 2 acetate pieces of the Christmas tree. I don't know if you can see it, but that's what it is. Now I did draw out these pieces for those that don't have a Cricut. Now I used a black permanent marker, and whenever I stopped, it made a really dark black spot. So I do apologize for that, But if you just cut around the edge, you certainly would get the shape. I even cut this one where you would cut out the edge, which is this one. And then here we have the tree and then our acetate pocket. This is actually the center of this tree, so I'll probably get rid of that in the final file. So that's for those that don't have access to a cutting machine. Now for this project, I'm going to take one of the acetates and one of the outlines, and I added some wet adhesive to the back side, and I'm going to go ahead and add this on top. Since you won't see the glue, I'm not going to worry about it for this part. If you want, you can use tape adhesive on this as well. Now, an important thing to remember that when you do these, you will have to cut out one set of these in a mirror image, or just flip them after you cut them out. So I cut these all the same way, and now I've turned these around so that when you go like this, back to back, that they will be the same on both sides. Okay, so I have the one piece where we added the outline on this side. On the right side, I have the full tree, and if I take this and flip it like this, then it matches up. And then I also have our little pocket. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to use wet glue to adhere these. Just right around the edge. And I'm leaving the top flap piece open. Okay, so I'm going to take this one and add it to the bottom. And see, this will go over it. You won't even see it. And now that we have our pocket on, I'm going to go ahead and add the other outline over those pieces. I'm going to let this sit for a moment to dry. Now that this is dried, we're going to flip this over. And what I've done is added some of the anti-static pouch over this. And I've done it the same way on this one as well. The next thing we're going to do is add some sequins. And what I've done is made a little mix out of some of the sequins that I have. Some of this is from the Dollar Tree, like these little round ones here. And then I have some snowflakes from Tuesday Morning. I have some other Christmas specific ones from Joann. So it's really just a mix of several different places. And I'm going to add them to the inside of our tree here. And you want to keep it to the center. And kind of flatten it out. It's best with flat sequins. You could even use some beads if you want to. I did that, you know, those little micro beads. I did that in the Halloween one. And you don't want it to be too full, but enough so that you have items in there. You could even really kind of glue pieces in there also if you wanted to, so that you would have some on each level. In fact, why don't we do that? Let's glue this up here. I don't know how well it will stay there, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't think it's going to stay. But you could do that. So when you have it the way you like it, then we go ahead and take off the backing on our adhesive here. Make sure you go all the way around and that there aren't any holes. Well, because we have larger sequins, I'm not sure that they would get out as easy as if you used micro beads. This did take some time to get all the adhesive around it, but luckily enough, I made the outline 1/4 of an inch wide, so it fit really well. And now we lay this down onto the bottom piece. So try to be very careful about lining things up. And then give it a good burnishing once you have it laid down. And I'm kind of pushing really hard so that there's good contact. Okay, let's give this a try and let's see how it works. Yes, everything is moving. And I like the idea that some of them are sticking up here because then you have it all the way through. So that's great. And then if you want to loosen them, just give it a little bang on the table and then they'll come down. Excellent. So now we can add this to our project. Okay, so this will sit right here in this flip down pocket. It'll get tucked right in there. And there we go. How cute. So that concludes my project share and tutorial for the Christmas House mini album card. I will be coming back in a separate video to share with you the envelope to house our card. And remember that you can create this in any style. It doesn't have to be Christmas. In fact, I've done one for Halloween and I'll be sharing that after the hop is complete. So in the meantime, don't forget to follow along the hop. In the description down below, you'll find all of the links to the participating designers. And remember to like, be a subscriber, and comment down below to be included in the Country Craft Creations giveaway. There will be a separate video sharing the winner of those giveaways. And to be included in my giveaway, please tell me what one craft you're looking forward to creating this holiday season. And then I will include you in my giveaway. But remember, you must be a subscriber, like, and comment down below. I think that's everything. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.